Hello, everybody. We are here, happy and thrilled as always. We bring you another episode of All In, a Nintendo podcast, the weekly Nintendo variety show where each and every week no shells left unturned, no point is left unearned. How you doing tonight, man? How you doing, Eric?
I got my all-in coffee. I am good to go, sir.
I have my all-in coffee too.
Very nice.
Cheers.
Matching mugs, twinsies.
Hey, where did we get these mugs? Where did we get
Seth, I think we were able to pick them up off of bit.ly/all-in merch, where you can pick up both the mugs and the rest of the amazing all-in merchandise.
Get our mugs on a mug, you know?
our use mugs on a mug.
That's right. Oh man, well we're happy to be here.
Nothing better
live.
than Friday night coffee.
That's right, man. It hits the spot when you need that extra little bit of oomph on Friday nights, which is, as always, we're live here on Friday night, youtube.com/allinpodcast. Every week, 5 p.m. Pacific, 8 p.m. Eastern, we record the first segments of our show in the weekly news roundup live, so come hang out with us. Shout-outs to everybody who is hanging out with us now. And Eric, speaking of shout-outs, we need to shout out our friends and supporters over on patreon.com/allinpodcast. Huge thanks to everybody who supports us over there, especially our Golden Banana tier supporters like Rob Yapel, Third Strongest Mole, Sean Shano Baggins Ashton, Tim A, aka NeoPrime33, aka Nintendo Dad number 4, Matt Shy Guy City Murray, Phelan Ward, Bill Tucker, Marcus O'Neill, Liam D, Solo Something, Bowza, and Gamer Jason. Thank you all so much to our Golden Banana bunch. But moving to our Triforce tier, we need to thank Josh Vaughn, the godfather of Tingle Love Tuesday, John Dat Fast Cummins of the Retro Logic podcast, as well as the On Topic Retro podcast, the Globetrottin' Jet Settin' Nintendo Hubbin' Dredgin' Sparky over at the Nintendo Hub right here on YouTube. Shout out to Sparky, man, with all that dredge coverage there in the Discord. Adam Caparello of the Retro Groove podcast, as well as the Octorock 1982 YouTube channel, Shy Guy, the other half of our Shy Guy mod squad, Danielina Hosa, Dan and Luma, and the legend himself.
The legend! Uncle Randy.
Uncle Randy. Love you, Uncle Randy. Thank you very much for your continued love and support, everybody. And speaking of Shy Guy, wanted to give
Shy Guy.
An update, man.
Guys, all of you's mugs. Thank you. You guys are amazing. Because of you guys, we were able to help our friend, our compatriot, our community member, our mod Shy Guy, reach his GoFundMe goal to be able to get that much-needed electric bike for his young son. Thank you.
Tandem e-bike for his son Ryan, and the pictures and everything that he's been sharing have been beautiful, and it was so great to see all the support from the All-In community come in to help one of our own. And thanks to everybody who supported him and his family. They deserved it, and just shout outs to that, man. So happy to see that hit its goal. But Eric, we are not done shouting out quite yet, my friend.
No,
because we also have some reviews.
We must shout out those who have shouted us out.
That's right. So every week we like to shout out our 5-star reviews on Apple Podcasts, Podchaser, and Audible, where you can drop some words, leave some 5-star written reviews for us. Those are very, very much appreciated. And on Spotify, of course, you can leave us 5-star anonymous ratings, which are also appreciated, just like Hoppel73 did on German iTunes. Recent patron, a supporter of mine in both the Carpool Gaming and now the All-In community. So big shout outs to Hoppel. He's the best. On German iTunes, Hoppel leaves us a 5-star review and says, a Nintendo show for everyone. You're looking for a weekly Nintendo podcast with everything? News, top 5, game deep dives, and even blue shells? Then All-In is the right one for you. So thank you very much.
Question mark, exclamation mark.
We got it all, baby. So thanks so much to Hoppel for that fantastic review. We appreciate you, Hoppel. And then we have 2 anonymous, because you can't drop words on Spotify, but 2 new 5-star reviews on Spotify. Those are very, very much appreciated. Whoever left those, you know who you are. Thank you so much. And Eric, there's one last piece of housekeeping to get to.
Yes. So we are here each and every Friday night giving you guys a breakdown in all the news in the past Nintendo week. However, next Friday is something that, like, even we're not going to try to compete with, frankly.
Whatever could you be in reference to? I don't
could
know.
only possibly, only probably, only conceivably be talking about the fact that next week, of course, is the release of one of the biggest games of the Switch's lifespan, the oft-waited for Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom. And again, that's just going to, we understand that that's, like, you guys are going to be playing Tears of the Kingdom next Friday. We understand that. We don't hold that against you. We don't judge. Frankly, we're going to be doing the same thing. So, but because of that, we are going to push things 24 hours forward.
Yeah. Earlier. We're going to be doing it on Thursday night instead. And we're going to talk about this a little bit in the news, but Nintendo has a streaming event Thursday night as well. So we're basically going to be wrapping up right as that one starts. So everybody's already going to be in like streaming mode. You know what I mean? So it just kind of made sense for us to do it on Thursday night next week. So yes, next Thursday
we're basically the official Nintendo pre-show.
That's right. Yeah, we're the official pre-show. You heard it here first.
Practically.
I really appreciate Bowser here in the chat says I was one of those Spotify ratings. Finally got around to it. Thank you so much for that, Bowser.
Oh, thank you, Bowser.
Really appreciate that. And then Sam, third strongest
you
here
equals
in the chat.
Awesome.
That's right. Sam makes a point to say Tears of the Dokapon Kingdom. It's got 3 days before nobody cares. So yeah, also true.
I am looking forward to that. And Sam, we are going to have to play that. Yes, obviously. I don't know why they're releasing the same week as Tears of the Kingdom, but yes, I am excited for Dokapon.
We will play it.
It's going to be it's going to be a ton of fun.
We will play it. Yeah, we will play it. But really real final piece of housekeeping here is Fantasy Critic.
Yes.
We had a important update to our Fantasy Critic League against those dreaded Nintendo pals.
Those
in our fantasy
darn
league.
Nintendo pals,
those dastardly Nintendo pals.
As part of the fantasy draft, obviously we've talked about it throughout the course of the year. You can draft Nintendo titles, Nintendo games that are coming out, and you gain points based on the critical reception of those titles. Something not a lot of people realize about that. You can actually draft DLC as well, which is exactly what we did.
Yep. In fact, it was one of the mandatory slots that I set up for that draft, that you had to have at least one piece of DLC in there. And the Nintendo pals chose the forthcoming Mario Rabbids Rayman DLC, while Eric, we chose the as of then unannounced, but we knew it was coming eventually, Xenoblade Chronicles 3 large story expansion. Wound up being Future Redeemed, and you know what? Turns out Future Redeemed was pretty dang good.
Turns out that was a good pick.
It was a good pick. It did well for us. Got us our first 90+ score in the Fantasy League this year, which is crucial because when Tears of the Kingdom comes out, which they have, we're going to need all the help we can get. So that did end up getting us, I believe, 21 points in our fantasy draft. So happy about that.
So as of right now, the draft score is all in 55 to Nintendo pals 26.
Yeah. So we're going to see. It's going to be really interesting how the chips fall next week after Tears of the Kingdom reviews hit. So we shall see. But sir,
yes,
with all that out of the way, what's been going on in your world this week?
Well, what's been going on in my world this week? It's just like last week. You and I have been putting a ton of time into Advance Wars, gearing up for our full review of that later on in the full podcast episode. Turns out Advance Wars, being 2 RPGs within a single package, took us a little bit of time to get through so that we could review it for all of you amazing people. However, that's clearly not the only thing that I've been playing this week. I was quite taken with your words on Mr. Sun's Hatbox last week and the ridiculous amalgamation of games that you compared it to, talking about Spelunky and Metal Gear Solid 5 and all that kind of stuff. So I actually played through the entirety of Mr. Sun's Hatbox this past week. As a matter of fact, I beat the final mission just a few hours ago.
Nice.
And I've got to say, there are a lot of positives. I do have some fairly big criticisms of the game, admittedly. I've already talked to you about a couple of them. Similarly to your thoughts on Cult of the Lamb,
Yeah.
there are, especially in the back half of the game, when there's just so much going on, when there's a ton of enemies on screen and hats and weapons and individual perks, and basically there's just a ton of individual things kind of bouncing off of each other. And so in the back half of the game, especially, the game does really chug. The game does really chug. Also, there's a lot of perks that the enemies have that you aren't aware of, so you'll be having seemingly random interactions with a lot of the enemies that you come across. And I did feel like I ran into more than a couple things that I was just like, how did that happen to me? But
I think
ultimately,
that's the point, though. It's slapstick, Yeah.
There is a lot, and even though you can level up each of, the hundreds of different NPCs that you'll probably wind up getting throughout the course of even just a 10-hour playthrough, even if you can level somebody up and, get them a bunch of extra HP, remove all the bad perks, get a bunch of good perks, I mean, they could still very easily just fall off a cliff and die.
A freak accident.
Yeah, complete freak accident. You're just like, well, next man up. I will say, I do really like the final boss. I thought that was properly hilarious. That being said, the final mission in the game, one of the really good things about Mr. Sun's Hatbox is the pace, because the individual missions themselves, even the more robust ones are probably only going to take you 5 minutes tops.
Yeah.
These are very, very quick missions, got a very quick pace to it. And 4 floors, 4 rooms essentially is the maximum that you're going to run into up until the final mission, which is 16.
That's
so
wild.
Yeah, it was pretty wild. But by then I had a whole team of hapless little. Actually, you know what they remind me of? They kind of remind me of like the Mr. Smiley, the Mr. Grumpy, like the kids book. Do you know what I'm talking about?
No, I don't know what you're talking about.
No,
Mr.
there's like this.
Smiley.
Yeah, I'll have to find a couple pictures of it or like the book thing or something. But these hilarious little heads with legs, essentially, that all have these weird random nicknames that all seem counterintuitive to what they actually do.
So good.
But ultimately I did have quite a bit of fun with it. There's actually a multiplayer death match you can go into. There is a new game plus that you can unlock, I believe, based on the fact that it says new game plus 1. It looks like there might be multiple new game pluses you can unlock, which actually introduces stuff like rent and and a few other things. So, but honestly, probably one of my favorite things about it is just kind of like what you were talking about. The setup and the entire narrative hook is just so ridiculous. And it gets just even weirder as the story goes. Like, here you go. We've gotten this for you in recompense for our past slide. It's like, I don't even really care. It's like, well, we preferred that you take it. 3 people gave their lives for this. And he's like, what?
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
So, but I did have a lot of fun with it. Mr. Sun's Hatbox, a performance patch would be would be very good. And admittedly, there are a couple things I do objectively think they should tweak. But overall, I did enjoy it quite a bit. So very well, Kenny, son.
I love the game. I really do. I haven't beat it myself yet, but it's the one that I keep thinking about as the week goes on. I just want to play more Mr. Sun's Hatbox. It's so much fun. And there's some frustrating things that can happen from time, but it really does remind me of Spelunky in that, like, even when the most frustrating thing happens for me, I'm just kind of like, well, that was at least funny. It's usually in some spectacular, stupid fashion, so and like you said, they do make it really easy to like level up new troops, and you have like, they're so expendable. That's like almost the point, but yeah, performance patch would be nice, because the design stuff in there is so smart and so impressive for a solo developer. I really like that game a lot.
Yeah. If you're gonna, all I'm gonna say is, if you're gonna pick that game up, be very aware of the negative perks that your characters have going into a mission, because they matter. a lot. So just be very aware of that. I refuse to go into a mission with anybody who's nearsighted.
I like the nearsighted, actually.
Do you really?
Yeah, I actually like it.
Mm,
Yeah.
nope.
It can be stressful, because you just you can't see like most of the, the map, but I actually kind of like it.
Well, I mean, you're trying to go through stealth because, I mean, you can
Mhm.
go through stealth, you can go through guns blazing. The game does very, very heavily incentivize going through stealth because you can actually get XP rewards for no kills and no alarms being set off. You
Yep.
get massive XP bumps for being able to do that. So the game heavily incentivizes stealth. But if you just want, I mean, if you're just a sociopath, you can play the game that way as well. So I don't judge. Unless you're doing it IRL,
Look,
then I heavily judge.
I have my axe murderer runs from time to time in Mr. Sun's Hatbox where I'm just like, you know what? Everybody's going to die. I'm just going to take my axe and just everybody's going to die,
Who amongst us that doesn't have at least 3 bodies buried in the backyard cast the first stone?
Right.
But speaking of kind of cartoonish violence or so, I'm going to end with the fact that I did something really stupid and counterintuitive to get in enough sleep, and that was I went to go see the late night showing of Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 last night. And I'm not going to talk too much about the movie. I finally just saw these notices starting to populate Twitter and the internet over the past couple hours, but I really only brought this up just to make sure that I said this one thing. If you are going to go see the movie, Seth, specifically because of you, I know you have a violence against animals thing.
Oh, yeah. Well, cats specifically. Yeah.
So some not very nice things happen to some. Yeah. So just be aware.
That's good to know.
There is a little bit of a violence against animals trigger warning that I would let people know. However, I did enjoy the movie quite a bit. I liked it quite a bit, but there were a couple times that were kind of jarring. So just be aware of that if you do go see it.
So I won't take my wife to see it. Noted. I was basically curious, like, I was going to ask my wife, like, if she cared to see it even, and if she did, I was like, well, maybe we'll try to see it this weekend, but now that I know that, she's not going to want to see this thing. I'm just going to go by myself probably this weekend and see it.
Well, thankfully, there's no rhinos getting hurt, because for those who don't know, Anastasia is a rhino nut.
She's an animal lover in general, but yeah, rhinos are her favorite. We have rhinos all over the place in our house.
I can vouch for that.
Yeah, she loves her some rhinos, dude. So, well, that's good. Yeah. Well, but the movie was good, though?
Yeah, I enjoyed it. There are a couple things that I could say about it, but overall, I think there was a nice, really interesting twist. A couple interesting twists toward the end. So, but I really liked it. I've nice. James Gunn, this being his swan song in the MCU. He actually brought in like some of his Suicide Squad, Peacemaker actors. Obviously, the High Evolutionary is played by one of the main actors from Peacemaker, but there are a couple other like Peacemaker and Suicide Squad cameos in there, which are wonderful. So yeah. Nice. But yeah, that's about it for me. That's about all I've got time for, buddy. What about you?
That's the thing is like, yeah, I haven't had a whole lot of time to play a whole lot of games this week. The main, Mr. Sun's Hatbox and I get time. I've been going back to Splunky 2. My wife and I have been playing the occasional game of Unrailed, which is a really fun like co-op sort of Overcooked meets like train Minecraft, like you're I don't really, it's hard to describe. You're basically like making it looks like Minecraft. It's all blocky and stuff. And you're managing resources, like collecting things to build pieces of track to make sure your train doesn't crash. And it's all procedurally generated. My wife loves this game. Absolutely loves it. She like goes and plays with randos, like just online with online matchmaking, and loves it. For me, like there's not quite enough variety for me to keep me on the hook. Because ultimately, even though it is procedurally generated, there aren't that many variables that come in to make like different runs, kind of worth doing. And the unlock path is kind of like, you're just kind of getting like player skins. So like, it doesn't, there isn't anything that really hooks me about the game, but I do like playing it with her, and it was on sale for like $5. So we both picked up a copy, and she really likes it. And if she likes it, I love it.
There you go.
So, that's really the long and short of that. But yeah, other than that, I picked up Card Shark last week on
Oh,
sale.
okay. Okay.
Yeah, that I don't know if it's still on sale or not, but it was on sale for 40% off. So I grabbed that. I also grabbed Disco Elysium for like 60% off.
Nice.
I mean,
From the big indie sale that was
yeah,
going on, right? Yeah.
the
Yeah,
sales
Card
have been
Shark.
crazy.
Yeah. That's why I picked up Skullgirls. That's why,
Yeah.
obviously, we don't have it in the news proper, I don't think. But speaking of sales, is that Star Wars sale still going on?
Yeah, I think until the 10th, if I'm not mistaken. There's a crazy Star Wars, so you can get like 7 Star Wars games for $40 right now on
Yeah,
the
they call it
eShop.
the Heritage Pack, and it's 7 good to great Star Wars games. You've got
Yeah,
Jedi Academy, Jedi Outcast, Episode 1 Racer, Force Unleashed, KOTOR 1 and 2, Republic Commando. Like, it's a really good bundle.
great deal.
Like, even at $80, which is what the bundle is, it's really good, you guys. It's really
Yeah,
good. And Capcom also has a ridiculous sale going on the eShop right now, which you guys should definitely check out.
all this stuff going on right before Zelda. Yeah, you got money, right? Why not? So
That's fair.
is what it is. But yeah, so like I picked up Card Shark is the current Backtrackers game,
Okay.
and in the carpool gaming community, and it was on sale. I said, why not, man? And I've been meaning to play that for a while anyway. I really like it. I'm not too deep into it, but I've talked about it on the show before. It's like
Yeah.
a game where you're a charlatan learning card tricks to rip people off for their money. That's
Yeah.
it. And it's really fun. The mechanics are cool. And like the having to like learn and memorize the card tricks feels satisfying, if not a little difficult. I usually like to play games like Mr. Sun's Hatbox is the perfect like play on my desk while I'm editing game. And
Yeah.
Card Shark is not. It requires too much mental capacity. Like I have to actually think about what I'm doing. Mr. Sun's Hatbox I can play fairly brainlessly. So
That's fair.
But yeah, that's like pretty much all I've been playing. Oh, I did get this. I got Snorlax.
Yes. The Snorlax Squishmallow. Oh my god, it's so fluffy.
It's very
It's
fluffy.
so fluffy. If you're not
It's very
watching the
cute.
video version of this, folks, I feel bad for you. It's so fluffy.
There is a video on the YouTube channel where I unboxed it. I did an unboxing video for this. This is my first ever Squishmallow that I've ever owned myself. Shoutouts to Locklith, friend of the show, my co-host on the Nintendo Drive, Locklith. She pinged me when these went live, when Snorlax and Togepi went live. And unlike what happened with Gengar, where I was in the middle
Gengar,
of filming
yeah.
a video when she pinged me that time, I was free this time. I managed to get my hands on this guy. So I'm very happy. It's very squishy and very cute, and I like him a lot. So yeah. Yeah. But
Yay.
yay. That's pretty much all I've got going on though. We do have some news stories to get into, my friend. So what do you say we get into them?
Sounds good. Yes, we've got some Hall of Fame caliber news to talk about this week in the Roundup, everybody. So let's talk about it.
Hey, listen!
So Eric, do we want to start with the Hall of Fame? What do we think?
I think we should.
Let's do
I
it.
think we should.
Let's do
Let's
it.
go ahead and start with the Hall of Fame. Obviously, a couple months ago, we reported on the fact that there were 12 finalists in the Strong Museum's 2023 class of the World Video Game Hall of Fame. And among those were the Nintendo Classics, GoldenEye 007 for the Nintendo 64, and the game that I believe is still the greatest selling Nintendo game of all time, officially, Wii Sports. That we have talked about the merits extensively for its inclusion in the Hall of Fame on this show. And Seth, I think it's clear that the Strong Museum heard us, because this past Thursday, the 4 inductees into the class of 2023 World Video Game Hall of Fame were The Last of Us. Was it Space Adventure?
Computer Space.
Computer Space, thank you.
Yeah.
Barbie Fashion Designer, and Wii Sports.
Brrr, drum roll, Wii Sports. Yay! Totally deserved. Come on,
Yeah.
man. Yes.
Wii Sports is officially a World Video Game Hall of Famer inductee for the class of 2023. And again, Seth and I have ad nauseum at this point talked about its merits for inclusion. And we're not going to, it's not a Nintendo game, we're not going to talk about it here, but I will say, if you're raising your eyebrow at the inclusion of Barbie fashion designer, go on the website. That's actually a really interesting video game profile and a really interesting argument for including that. So I do encourage that people go look into that. But yes, for our purposes, yay, Wii Sports.
Yeah. I mean, Bowser in the chat, Wii Sports was revolutionary. That's the thing. And we've talked about this on the show. I genuinely think Wii Sports is maybe the most important game ever made. And I have some very superlative things that I say about Wii Sports. I think that Wii Sports changed the world genuinely, but let alone the sales, the pack-in game for this incredibly successful Nintendo console. The fact that it broke every conceivable barrier and made it so that everybody could play. Hospitals still today use that game for rehabilitation. Yes.
Yeah, absolutely. So incredibly well-deserved in our opinion. Congratulations to Wii Sports. As a matter of fact, if you are interested in hearing more about the Hall of Fame and having a fun, lively discussion, we did an entire SideQuest episode this past week for all of our patrons. That was a ton of fun. We talked about a ton of other games that we would eventually like to see enter into the Hall of Fame. So if you're a patron, go ahead and check that out. If you're not, maybe you should become a patron. That's a really good episode. And it would also give you access to every other SideQuest that we've ever done, including a bunch of other content. So become a patron is basically what I'm saying. But yes, one last fanfare for Wii Sports. Congratulations.
Congratulations. I hope that somewhere Matt is holding that trophy proudly. Wii Sports Matt holding this trophy, man.
That's absolutely how they should. That's absolutely how they should depict it in the physical hall. Is with Matt there with his big katana.
Absolutely. Well, we do have. I guess what we could do, because there are a couple things to talk about this week. Real quick story here. Speaking of trophies and wins for Nintendo, the Super Mario Brothers movie launched in Japan last week, I think on the 28th, and that pushed it over the line. It's officially surpassed $1 billion at the global box office. Probably much more than that at this point. That's actually they hit that early in the week. I'm seeing all kinds. It's breaking records. It's continuing to break records. There are rumors that they're fast tracking the digital home release of the movie. We haven't heard anything about that. I was kind of hoping we would hear something about that before we recorded this week, but still no news on that as of yet. But I think it's already the third highest grossing movie in Mexico, film history, of all time.
I thought best case scenario, pipe dream scenario, this movie makes 500 million.
Really?
I mean, it's a Super Mario Brothers movie. Yes, it's important to us, but I'm not so arrogant as to think that the entire world revolves around Nintendo. Or us as our podcast. But I mean, yes, obviously there's a ton of love for Mario and the IP and the history behind the character, but I didn't even conceive of this movie passing $1 billion. That is insane to me.
Yeah, I knew it would pass $1 billion. However, I didn't think that $1 billion would be a conservative estimate. I thought that it would eventually kind of hobble over the $1 billion line after the home release and things like this. I didn't think it was going to hit $1 billion basically before it even ever opened in Japan. When in the totality of everything, I wouldn't be surprised if this hits $2 billion. In the way in just the whole totality of this movie, it's absolutely massive. I wonder if maybe they're gonna make more. I wonder if that might be in the cards.
That's the thing. It's been so successful that all the producers over at Illumination are probably scrambling at this point to fast track a whole bunch of stuff. And my biggest concern at this point is that the movie has become too successful for its own good, that it's going to spawn so many lesser clones and lesser sequels or spin-offs or copycats. I actually watched an interesting video this past week on movies that accidentally made cinema worse. And it was a large theme throughout the video essay was exactly that. Movies that were essentially so good that they inspired a ton of really terrible copycats. And I'm just afraid that, I'm afraid that Nintendo and Illumination, and especially Illumination, are going to be like, hey, we got to strike while the iron is hot. We've got to get these stuff out. I mean, you and I just this past week, thankfully it wasn't in the world of Nintendo, but we have seen the pratfalls and the consequences from something being released before it was ready.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry about your luck, Redfall. And I really hope something like that doesn't happen with follow-up projects in what is more than likely at this point going to become the Mario Cinematic Universe.
Yeah. We'll see what happens, but in any case, huge congrats to that movie, deservedly so.
Yeah,
making all the money. So
yeah, don't want to doomsay. Super congrats to Super Mario Brothers. Wahoo indeed.
Wahoo indeed. But Eric, there was something that you did see the writing on the wall of. I didn't want to believe it, but you did call this when the Nintendo Switch port of Marvel's Midnight Suns was indefinitely delayed. You were like, yeah, this is probably canceled. And I didn't want to believe, but it turns out you were right. As of this past week, they did, Firaxis officially canceled. They said there were no further plans for a Nintendo Switch port of Marvel's Midnight Suns. No further reasoning was given for the cancellation. But yes, sorry to everybody who was looking forward to this game on Switch. It is no longer happening.
Yeah, when they removed the Switch logo from, I think it was the Summer Games Fest or it was one of Jeff's. Yeah. The Switch logo was nowhere to be seen. From that point on, more than likely the game was on life support anyway if it hadn't already been outright canceled. But the way they announced the cancellation of the Nintendo Switch version, which was basically like, hey, check out this awesome new Storm DLC for our game, and also the Switch port's been canceled.
They snuck the sentence in. Yeah.
So that was essentially like, hey, we've got a little bit of bad news, but hey, the good news is so much gooder.
Yeah, and it's going to launch on other platforms with the new DLC, and it's awesome. And also, sorry, Nintendo, but this is awesome. You know.
So that was probably all they were waiting for. They've probably known this for quite some time. And again, I mean, I didn't want to be right about this because I was pretty interested in the game. Of course, me being the big Marvel nut that I am, I play most superhero games that come out. I'm a huge fan of Ultimate Alliance 3 and the Nintendo Switch, despite how janky it is. But yeah, I was really interested in stuff like this. We like tactics-based games. I mean, heck, we're talking about 2 of them in this episode alone.
True.
So yeah, that really does sting, unfortunately. Sorry for all of you Marvel, all of you comic fans who were eventually hoping to play it on the Nintendo Switch. That is no longer going to happen.
Yeah, it's unfortunate. It made me think, like, I'm worried about Hogwarts Legacy. I'm worried about.
I saw a few people echo that, but when you said that to me, I was like, man, I hope not, because Hogwarts Legacy shared some pretty good news itself this past week. Apparently, it's past 1 billion. You talk about Super Mario Brothers passing 1 billion. Apparently, Hogwarts Legacy has passed $8 billion in revenue as of this week as well.
Yeah, that game. So, it ended up selling over 15 million units. Hogwarts Legacy, so it did extraordinarily well. And it's interesting because I'm not gonna put on my predicting cap or anything. It's supposed to come out, I think, July 25th on Nintendo Switch.
Is there a predicting cap in Hogwarts? Did I miss that?
Yeah, it's right next to the sorting hat. You put on the predicting cap. Yeah, it's interesting though, because we've not seen anything from this Switch port. We have no idea how it's going to run. Seeing how massive and in the fidelity of the game and everything going on in the game, I have a hard time believing that this is going to run on Switch, and them kind of refusing to show their work is concerning. There is the argument to be made, and we had a good discussion in the Discord this week. Me and I think it was SAZ and Shy Guy City, I think, were chatting about this, where they could just kind of bang out a quick and dirty port of old Hogleg and just make their Harry Potter money, But I don't think that's what this is, because they've already, if they were going to do that, right, then why'd they delay it? Why'd they make it its own release? Why'd they push it all the way to July? why wouldn't they have just released it alongside the other games that I think the Xbox One and PS4 versions are coming out later this month, if I'm not mistaken. And that was kind of what they were celebrating as well, as like the forthcoming release of that. So, but I don't know. It's going to be interesting to see if this thing does still come out. Like, I'm to the point where I'm not necessarily predicting that it's going to be canceled, but I will not be surprised whatsoever if it is.
Yeah. Yeah, well, I mean, I know that, you and a lot of other people are really big. I know, obviously, it's a massive fandom. There are a ton of really big Harry Potter fans out there that have been waiting on this game, and a lot of them are Nintendo Switch owners. So I hope that the Marvel fans, or I hope that the Harry Potter fans don't suffer the same fate as the Marvel fans. But I mean, yeah, it's one of those things where it's like, hey, Mom, I want to get Hogwarts Legacy. We have Hogwarts Legacy at home, and it's like Lego Harry Potter or something.
Yeah, I feel like the tail of that game was pretty short. I feel like the conversation of that game, so much of it was pre-release, all the controversy with J.K. Rowling and her disgusting transphobic views and all of that sort of controversy. Should I support the game? Should I not support the game? That kind of was, I think, the bulk of the narrative. And then the game came out. People played it. The people who loved it really loved it. But like, it's kind of popped and fizzled since then, but it sold really, really well also.
Yeah.
So, it's, and you wonder how much of that is because of the brand, because of Harry Potter as a brand. So I don't know, man. We'll have to see. I think it probably is worth it for them, but if it's going to be a bad port and it gets bad word of mouth, Nintendo Switch fans are fickle. And Nintendo Switch fans, even in the best case scenario, and even in like one of these miracle ports like Witcher 3, which was handled with care, like even that, like it did well on Switch, but it's not as if it went on Switch and sold 10 million units or something.
Yeah.
So I just wonder
nobody talks about The Witcher 3 as a Switch game.
No, totally. And so I just wonder if they feel like it's going to be worth it or not. But like we'll see. I think it's going to do well on Switch. I just don't know how well it has to do to justify the extra development cost. This game got delayed like a further 6 months on top of, and like you got to understand that's 6 months of not only marketing money, but the amount of people working on that port that have salaries you need to pay. So that's a lot of money to spend on a port that it's hard to say if it's going to make a profit for them or not. So anyway, I'm not predicting anything. It's just something to think about. Don't be surprised. I think it probably is coming out, but I'm not going to be surprised if it doesn't, especially after this. So.
Yeah. And well, you know what? To take a little bit of the sting off. Yes, we had a very high profile Nintendo Switch game get canceled this week, but we also had a really interesting and cool Nintendo Switch game get announced this week as well. I don't know about you, Seth. I'm certainly a gamer of a certain age, so I'm incredibly excited for this new Double Dragon that's forthcoming. I know, I'm just trying to throw out an olive branch there to the Marvel fans and to the Harry Potter fans that are waiting on their games. Like, hey, there's other really cool games that I promise you Double Dragon's not going to get canceled on the Nintendo Switch at the very least. So just a little bit of an olive branch there. That's really cool. That got announced. I just wanted to shout that out because that makes Eric happy.
It looks cool. Yeah, I'm into it. I will say though, here I wanted to hit this, and we talked about it a little bit earlier because we are kind of like restructuring our plans for next week around this stuff. Of course, little game called Legend of Zelda: Tears of the Kingdom comes out next week. And Nintendo announced earlier today as we're recording this that they're going to be holding a Treehouse live event leading up to the midnight release of the Nintendo New York store for the game. So that's going to be next Thursday at 6:45 p.m. Pacific. If you're keeping score, we do our streams at 5 p.m. Pacific. So not long after we wrap up our stream next week, which will again be happening on Thursday, 5 p.m. Pacific, 8 p.m. Eastern, that'll be rolling basically right into this Treehouse Live event. So if you're trying to just get cozy, hang out with us, talk about some Nintendo, and then see whatever it is they're going to be showing at Treehouse Live. They said there's going to be 4 segments. I'm assuming it's going to be like 4 30-minute segments. It's going to be like 2 hours of content leading right up to the midnight release is what I think they're going to be doing here. So...
Nintendo's like, well, if the game's going to get spoiled, we might as well do it ourselves.
Yeah. Yeah, the game's been leaked to heck and back. I wonder what they're going to be talking about. Like, I think they're probably going to do a section showcasing like hardware, showcasing the Switch OLED, the Pro controller, the Amiibo and stuff. You know, just kind of doing one last like marketing blitz. This is what you can pick up when you go to the store tomorrow, sort of thing. Probably extended gameplay, you know, probably just kind of showing like they did with the Great Plateau section in Breath of the Wild. They showed off a lot of that, you know. So
yeah, but of course, obviously, just be aware. A lot of you already know this, but spoilers and leaks are definitely still prevalent. Although I do love the fact that Reggie is out there policing Twitter.
It's very good.
That was so great.
Although,
the fact that he straight up quoted Taken at that guy. Oh, yeah, it was so great.
It is funny. It's funny to laugh at and look at, but you know, those leakers out there got to be careful, man, because Nintendo is out there ruining lives over these leaks, dude. So y'all better be careful. But quick PSA, we mentioned the Star Wars sale going on. Take advantage of that. Also, Splatfest is happening this weekend. In fact, I think it just kicked off right before we went live. The Zelda-themed Splatfest. Are you team wisdom, power, or courage? Going live this weekend. You gonna be playing? Gonna be playing some Splatfest?
I might as well. I bought those keychains.
Oh, did you?
Yeah, the My Nintendo Rewards Splatfest Triforce keychains. Those are really, really cool. For just 550 platinum points, I was able to get them. I had to pay shipping, obviously, but yeah, those were really cool. I don't get too many of those physical My Nintendo Rewards. I should get more of them, but I definitely had to pick those up. So I'm getting the keychains. I might as well try to put some time into the Splatfest. You know, might as well try to find some time to play something before a certain game owns my soul for the next month. But yeah, more Splatfests like this, please.
What team are you going with? Did you decide?
Courage. It feels like the answer for me because wisdom certainly doesn't feel emblematic of who I am as a person, and I don't know, power. I don't know. Courage. That's just the one that sounds right to me, essentially.
Yeah, wisdom seems to be the popular thing in the community, but my wife wants to do courage, so I'm going to wind up doing courage. And I think really she's just like, it's the green one. I think that's really all it is. So
and for me, it's just like courage. Legend of Zelda Splatfest, yay!
I'm just happy it exists at all with the cool new like Triforce stage they have.
Yeah,
really, really cool. So yeah, that's
more
happening
Splatfest
like
this, please.
Yes, please.
Yes. But also the Star Wars sale. May the 4th be with you, Seth.
Yep. May the 4th be with everybody. Hopefully everybody, you know, Revenge of the 5th, Revenge of the 6th or whatever, you know, celebrate Star Wars however you want to celebrate it.
I will say you can celebrate Star Wars. You can celebrate Star Wars with us this weekend. We're actually doing a proper Star Wars segment in the full podcast episode. Make sure to check that out later on in the episode.
Yeah, but Eric, we have a few notable releases to hit right here at the end, so let's hit these real quick. It's not a lot. Everybody's steering clear of Zelda. Right. Exactly.
Yeah. The fact that there were any games released on the Nintendo Switch this week, frankly, surprises me. But we do have a couple. I will shout out very briefly that KO the Kangaroo released some new DLC this week. So cool for that. They released their anniversary edition of the game. So if you're a fan of that, they've got brand new content for that. But I wasn't actually aware of this Minute Funracer. You had to tell me about it, Seth.
Yeah, it's been out for a few years now on PC, and this is essentially, you know, Minute is a pretty like widely known indie game at this point. Minute, and we did an indie showcase on it probably like 2 years ago at this point.
Sounds right.
Yeah, and it's basically like a Link's Awakening like game, very kind of simple monochromatic Commodore 64 looking art style. Ton of personality, but the big gameplay gimmick is that you play the game a minute at a time. Your character is cursed to die after a minute, and the game is very clever, has a lot of fun little, you know, puzzles and ways that the world kind of connects and stuff. It's a great game. Minute is awesome. And Minute Funracer, the way I describe this is essentially what Minute was to Link's Awakening, Minute Funracer is to like Excitebike. It is essentially like Minute but Excitebike. You're on this little like moped motorcycle thing. You're dodging like cars and obstacles, and it still has that same like time mechanic. And it still does the same thing Minute does, where you pick up coins on the course and use them to buy upgrades that you can use to lengthen your run, get further in, and things like that.
Yep.
And it doesn't take you a ton of time to get through it. You'll buy all the upgrades probably inside of like an hour. There are a ton of like achievements and little things you can go for, and like challenges you can do that are fun. It actually is like deeper than you would expect for what this is, and it's only $2.99. And the big thing is this is Fundraiser, aka Fundraiser, and all of the sales of this game since its launch back in I think 2019, the proceeds go directly to charity. Devolver gives all of the proceeds of the game to charity. And this has been charities like MSF has benefited from this. So very, very cool. So like you can buy this, kind of feel good about it. You're given to charity by buying it. And it's also like a fun little kind of distraction game. It's not gonna blow your mind. It's not gonna require a lot of time, but it's just a fun little distraction that is well made and good, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah, good Devolver Digital, good guy Devolver Digital, good
Yeah.
guy, creepy, crazy, violent, occult, sociopathic video game publisher company.
Yeah, it's good. It's worth, it's worth picking up. Again, just $2.99. I definitely recommend it. And there's also, this was weird. This kind of came out of nowhere too. Like Minute Fundraiser was shadow dropped. Another thing shadow dropped on Switch was the Dark Pictures anthology Man of Medan dropped on Switch, and it's not like a cloud version, it's a port. Like it's an actual Switch port. There was a caveat on the eShop listing that the game runs at 24 frames a second, which is interesting.
As cinematic mode, quote unquote.
Yeah, which is interesting and weird. But this, and it sounds like, I never played the game. I can't speak for it. Sounds like it wasn't very good. But this was like a big kind of release on other platforms. This is from, what is it, Supermassive, the developers of like Until Dawn and stuff. This is like their sort of game. Cool style, but yeah, I don't know if this is for me, but it's just interesting and weird that it's on Switch at all.
Yeah. Admittedly, this isn't a game that I was like, oh, I can't wait for the Switch version of this. Admittedly, that wasn't one of those for me. But yeah, cool. Big release at the time on other platforms, is out now on the Switch. If you're excited for it, it's here.
That's right. It certainly is here. And last one I want to shout out is good old Super Dungeon Maker, Eric.
Yes. Yeah, this is one we have actually had our eyes on. Our friends over at Premium Edition Games are doing a physical release for this, but for the simple fact that this is essentially the full game, like Link's Awakening Switch port Dungeon Maker game that we have been wanting for basically since that Link's Awakening port came out. This is a full game size version of that, essentially, with a lot more tools and a lot more, nuance and capabilities. Essentially, I haven't played it myself. I can't vouch for how the game runs or how it plays. I have heard that there's no like progression or anything like that, but still, if you were really looking for something more out of the Dungeon Maker aspect of the Link's Awakening Switch port, this is exactly what that game is.
Yeah, it sounds like it's a cool tool set. And it's cool that this exists. I hope that the developer continues to update it, add more stuff to it, because it seems like this is a cool base, if nothing else. So very cool. But yeah, not a whole lot of notable releases this week, just because everything's steering clear of Zelda. So no big surprise.
Fair. I mean, to be fair, that's what we're doing next week, so I can't really blame them.
Get out of the way, baby.
Exactly. Yeah, it's a steamroll. It is a juggernaut. It is basically just using his kinesis Sheikah powers to move everything out of the way. But I mean, there's still a lot of stuff going on. Let us know what you guys are up to this weekend. If you're playing the Splatfest, if you're playing a new game, if you're playing something for Star Wars, or whatever you're doing, let us know. Reach out to us on Facebook at All In Podcast, on Twitter at All In Podcast. Come join our amazing community over in the Discord. Like Seth said, they were having a really great conversation over there about Hogwarts Legacy. Great conversations being had all the time over there in the Discord. You should definitely check it out. You should also check out youtube.com/allinpodcast if you're watching us here live. That happens to be exactly what you're doing at this very moment. So thank you for that. Make sure to like and subscribe to the channel. If you have, you like your hand over the mouse, go ahead and give that a couple clicks there. But if you aren't, if you're listening to the full podcast version of this, go to youtube.com/allinpodcast at some point and give us some love there. And since you're going to be on the internet anyway, go ahead and visit Patreon.
Yeah, visit patreon.com/allinpodcast. There are 3 tiers of support over there, a bunch of friends and supporters that throw a few bones our way for our hard work, and we appreciate them and love them very much. They get all kinds of exclusive content every single week. They get shout-outs on the show, of course, and they get discounts on our merch, bit.ly/allinmerch. Get yourself a shirt, get yourself a sticker, get yourself a mug. We would appreciate it very much. But hey, if you don't have any bones to throw our way, that's okay too. You can support All In entirely for free by dropping some words like Hopple did. Thank you again, Hopple, for your 5-star review. You can leave us a written 5-star review on Apple Podcasts, Podchaser, and Audible. And on Spotify, you can leave us anonymous 5-star ratings like Bowza did. So shout outs to Bowza and the other person who left us one. You know who you are. Very free, very easy way to support your favorite Nintendo podcast. We appreciate it very much.
Yes, thank you, Bowza. Thank you, Hopple. Thank you to all of our amazing patrons, to everybody who has dropped words or given us those 5-star ratings on whatever podcast service you listen to us on, to everybody who has shared our content somewhere, some way, somehow across the internet, and especially this week to all of you legends out there who helped our good friend Shy Guy. I just want to send a massive, massive thank you your way. Namaste.
Namaste, everybody. Sorry, I was muting my mic because my dog, my wife just got home from work. My dog's freaking out. So, yeah, just muting my mic over here. Yeah, that's been the news this week, folks. We appreciate you all very, very much. Again, next week, a little bit of a programming change. We'll be live on Thursday. Same bat time, though, and same bat channel, of course. We will be here 5 p.m. Pacific, 8 p.m. Eastern next Thursday. Just ahead of the Tears of the Kingdom Treehouse Live. And yeah, I'm probably going to wind up streaming that game on both our channel and and with Carpool. We're planning on a bunch of Tears of the Kingdom content.
Oh yes.
So there's going to be a lot of stuff going on for sure. But this was just the first segment of our show, and the full podcast that goes live tomorrow that you can find links to always in the video description. You will hear all kinds of stuff. You'll hear a top 5 on the best Star Wars games in Nintendo history. You'll hear an indie showcase on the one and only SteamWorld Heist. And of course, you will hear an in-depth review discussion on Advance Wars 1+2 Reboot Camp, all on tomorrow's episode of All In, episode 152. Hit the link in the video description to check that out. But until next week, guys, we love you very much. Bye-bye.
Word. Bye-bye.